Yeah, Cash Gang.
Hey, what going on? What you know good? I'm Darius Cash, and this is the Bernard Song Podcast, where pain has a voice and healing finds rhythm. Today, and Christian too, we have the pleasure of being joined by one of the finest sisters I have ever met in my life. And she is beautifully active in the community, and her name is Tanesha Door. She is an author, musician, and clothing designer, everything. And if you know, hey, that's right up my alley. So, Tanesha, nice to have you on.
Yes, it's nice to be here with you guys. So.
And today we're gonna get into a little of Tanesha's backstory and also her endeavors, her passions. So she has a social justice calling, and she's gonna talk to us a little bit about that, and also a few of the things that she's working on right now at this moment. So, Tanesha, what actually sparked this conversation that we're going to have is, of course, we're friends on Facebook, but there was a post she made, and it really hit home for me that there are ones who care, and not to say that there aren't many who care, but there's few who are actually doing the work and taking the initiative that's necessary to get the work done. A lot of people, we all know complainers, people who have a problem for every solution, people who know what's wrong, but they don't know what to do about it. And a lot of times it's so much that they don't know what to do, so they just don't do anything. So, Tanesha, what is the basis of your social justice calling? And I know you're about to begin taking more classes too.
Yeah. So yes, I'm actually getting my third degree right now in concentration in social justice right now. But my base is on my background to what I'm doing now. I used to be in the military. I was in the Navy as a builder, a CB, and I ended up getting out to be a stay-at-home mom for my son, my older child of 3. And things didn't work out, and I had to come back home to Georgia. But when I got home, I was hoping and praying that the family support I had here was what it was, and I was shown that that wasn't the case. And I had to pretty much figure some things out for myself. But doing so, I had to allow my son to go back and live with his father. And that happened in a traumatic way for me, and it sent me into depression. So I was depressed in 2018, the end of December 2018, and which led to my homelessness. So I was homeless once upon a time. No. Okay, come on.
That's okay. Okay, so Tanisha's an active mom.
Yes.
Stay at home mom too. So when you see her, she's with she's with one or two children, and that's very noble. She don't push them off. Maybe she might take some time. Maybe she might need a babysitter every now and then. But for the most part, she's the most an active parent in that sense.
Yes, I'm always having a baby with me, so excuse me for momming right now. But when I was homeless, I had, of course, my grandmother, when she was still alive, God rest her soul, I would always go visit her, and she would always tell me, hey, go take these Meals on Wheels, go take these meals I don't want, go take them to the park, go give them some water, And I always loved doing that because it reminded me of my childhood when I would spend time with my grandmother. So even in those homeless times where I was sleeping in my car or walking down the street and listening to people's stories and recording them, I would do that. I would bring water, food, and stuff like that. And when I was there, I actually started, because, military, I still get my month-to-month paycheck. So I utilized that for buying water and starting my business, my clothing line. That's where Scarlet Black Attire actually started, was when I was homeless. And my cleaning company. It wasn't enough to get me a place, or at least I didn't think so. Like I said, I was battling depression. So that was me trying to avoid being around anybody, staying in my car, reading the Bible, just being on my own and just doing what I felt my heart wanted to do. And that was pretty much be in the community and know my people and try to find a way to fit in a way, because I didn't know I didn't know where to go. You know what I mean? So me using music as my outlet and being in the music scene and doing all those things, I met a lot of different people, and a lot of people that was on their own journeys at that time, whether they were battling homelessness, mental health, addictions, and abuse. That's how I got started. So when I finally told myself, okay, this is not enough for me. This is not enough for my son. I need more. So I finally reached out and received help from the VA, and also PAD, which is a huge, huge, huge staple in my journey.
And what is PAD?
PAD is I don't want to misquote. I should know this. I should know this by heart. But it's an alternative diversion center here in Atlanta. So instead of people calling 911.
Oh, pre-arrest diversion. Pre-arrest diversion.
Well, it's technically that, but I don't want to. I forget what the P means, but it's an alternative to.
I think it's pre-arrest. Like before they actually arrest you, they have pre-trial diversion and pre-arrest diversion. Like pre-trial is before you actually, after you've been indicted. The
acronym is PAD. But the P stands for policing.
Okay.
I didn't want to misquote that,
okay.
But it's Policing Alternatives and Diversion.
Okay.
And it's a organization, nonprofit organization here in Atlanta. And in my case, this is what happened to me. I don't know if y'all know 555 on Whitehall. When I was homeless, I actually stayed up top on the top of the roof, and the owner found me there, and they called 911. Officer Jackson came, and he said, this is unusual. For some odd reason, your spirit, I got to call 311. So instead of taking me to jail, he called 311, which is the number for PAD. Mm-hmm. And PAD is an organization that they meet you where you are, no matter if you're an addict, homeless, abused, or anything. They meet you where you are. And
shout out to PAD. We thank you for the good work that you do in 311.
Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, I received help, and not only help, but a relationship. I received a relationship with a community, an organization of people that are truly here for the people. And I say that to say this because, like I said, I was battling depression. Even though they set me up in a hotel for 7 days, I didn't want to leave. Like I said, I'm battling depression. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go out there. I didn't want to face the world. I didn't want to do any of that. But they had women and that were kind, friendly, but adamant about getting me to my next step. And with their help and the VA's help to get me the mental help I needed, I was able to heal and start that healing process. And I'm thankful for that. And now that I'm to a point where, and this is one thing too, because you'll find some organizations out there that are for the people that help you with your mental health, help you with your addictions, but that's all they do. Mm-hmm. They help you. PAD, they don't just help you. They keep in contact. And I say this because once I felt like I was decent to a point where I could do something, get a job or what have you, I got into another relationship, my girl's father's, and that became abusive. And I had no one else to call but someone I knew that was going to help, and that was PAD. And keeping that relationship with them, they were able to stay in my life, know what I needed, know who I was, and still provide me the help I needed. Mm-hmm. So once I got to a point where, I'm cold. Once I got to a point where I was on my own, being self-sufficient, a mother to my children the best way I know how, and just taking care of them and having them in a safe environment, I was able to sit down with myself and reflect on my journey. And with that reflection and everything, that God has put me through, it was a reason why he had me start my clothing line in the midst of meeting and knowing those people. And the reason why Scarlet Black is who Scarlet Black is in regards to my music. Like I say, my scars light up my dark and Scarlet Black is who you see. But
Wait, say it again.
my scars light up my dark and Scarlet Black is who you see. Okay. And it's a reason why my cleaning company had a play in it all, because now that I'm wanting to express myself, I'm to a point where I can use my testimony to reach the people that I know it can. I'm able to use what God has already given me as a platform. So with my clothing line, it expresses what the people need to hear, the truths they try to avoid. And that goes back to the post that you said that kind of highlighted this whole topic right here, is our people are slowly waking up. They're waking up to the truths that this system has tried to deny us. And I know, in our history, we've seen over and over again in every generation fighting for the same things, fighting for the same rights, civil rights. And one thing I am aware of, and a lot of people are waking up to, that it's not truly only, even though our fight has been way more than just about civil rights, it all equates and boils down to human rights. Mm-hmm. And once everyone is on the same boat, on board with the same idea, we can truly move our people away from this system, because that's how they hold us down, is us trying to fight to be a part of a system that don't want us, but need us. You know what I mean? That needs us so we can't know our truth, needs us so we can keep us down. You know what I mean? So if we were to find a self-sufficient way of being without needing them, then we have all the power we need. Because honestly, we are the power, but we have to get to that understanding as a one. You know what I mean? But
and this is it's also real. It's also legit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can take it to the bank, because this is coming from a vet. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people who, we speak from the trenches. We might have had bad situations growing up, but this is coming from a vet, and she experienced different things, homelessness, abusive relationships, and one of the takeaways is that with persistence and identifying your goals, God will make room for your goals, your passions, the things that you want to do. And it's necessary, because it's necessary to say, because we all know that bills must be paid. We have to put food in our children's mouth, clothes on the backs, shoes on the feet. We got to take care of ourselves. So we get ourselves locked in the job cycle. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to get a job. What I am going to tell you is, don't rely on that job to fulfill you in everything that you would like to do. Because now, if your life only revolves around the resources that your job provides, stop me now. But if your job if you would like that job just to be a springboard to your actual goals and the things that you actually want to do, then make a plan and be prepared for your time off, so that you can work on yourself, and don't let the people who are at your job or your boss, or even the person on the highway beside you who might cut you off, don't let people just get you off your square, because it blows up all the goodness that you it only take one bad situation to mess up a whole run of good. So take these words and understand that not only are there resources, but there is it starts within you. That's one thing that we need to also be aware of, that it starts in us. And I think a lot of us do know that it starts in us, but where do we get the fuel for the fire to keep burning? So, one, Tanesha, I thank you for opening up and being vulnerable about.
You know, it wouldn't be my calling if I wasn't. If I wasn't able to tell my testimony, none of this, what I'm doing, would be true. Just like, it's funny you say that. My book is literally what that is. It helps ignite that fire. And I know a lot of people, they're so dependent on this system, but I would like to remind them that before this system, we were a prosperous people. You know, and it's a lot of things in our history that has been done to our people to keep that and avoid us from being that. And I like to say this, you know, people always talk about the Jews' Holocaust, but we had our own Holocaust. You know what I mean? 1921, we had our own Holocaust, and a lot of people, they don't even talk about that. And it's been people that has lived to be over 100 years old still fighting for the same issue. We had thousands of people die, innocent people die, because our people has shown over and over again how we can easily thrive. This system that they have us stuck in is actually a copy of what we used to do. You know what I mean? They copied our system and use it against us. And they still do to this day. And what kills me is that, and I'm so glad a lot of our individuals, a lot of our people are waking up across the world. I gotta change her pamper, y'all. Okay? But
I mean, I could deal with about it. You know, I think we got about 5 or 10 more minutes. I mean, look, if no. You know, she doesn't seem to mind right now. Like so, but hey, look. So I'm looking. Turn up, Opal. So Tanesha, I'm looking at your book. We remember, we build.
Yes.
So go in a little deeper. It's an anthology of truth, resistance, and reclamation.
Yes. So it really just, and it scratches the surface on so many things, and it doesn't go into details, and it doesn't hit what it needs to hit. I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. But it reminds us of where we've been, what we've gone through, and it shows us and expresses how we are resisting those changes till this day. And then it shows us, tells us, and shows us through what we're already doing as a community, whether it's in New York, California, here in Georgia, and shows us how we are breaking away from the system, how we're reclaiming what's ours. And that's land, that's power, that's dignity, that's our human rights we were born with. You know what I mean? And I like to just say this because I love the people that came before us and fought before us and made a way and paved the way for us. I truly do. I appreciate them and I love them and I adore them. And that's why I made the song to go with this book. And they're the echoes for a respectful ode to our ancestors. But at the end of the day, I don't want our people to get caught up on fighting for civil rights, because you're fighting, like I said, you're fighting to be a part of a system that don't want you. You're truly fighting to be a part of that. And with a lot of truths that's coming out, like that post was suggesting when it comes to the Indian tribes, and I'm speaking for our people, and I'm speaking Niji, indigenous, aboriginals, people that was here before all of this. And a lot of people, they're like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? And it's an amazing thing how Rockefeller and the whole gang has did a major screw up when it comes to our education and our people. But I just want them to know, go relearn your history. Start with you. As I encourage everybody, start with you. Go back to your grandmother, your great-grandma, all them, and they'll show you who you are. They will. And once you do that, you will know your place here in this land, because we are the true people of Turtle Island, and they don't want you to know that. because this is our land. And once we realize that, they have no choice. Like, it's people all across this world finding out who they are and reclaiming their lands. It's because once they took, and I say this, and I know there's a lot of people that fought, a lot of people that died, a lot of people that got hurt for this fight, and in regards to the 1960s and the civil rights movement and all that stuff. But once our young individuals went to go vote, a lot of our people lost their lands and lost a lot of things. And it started a lot of stuff for our people. And knowing that alone, with us trying to become citizens, it hasn't helped our people. And I know a lot of people, especially, when it comes to the Black Power movement and all that, they took on the culture and of a different culture. That's not us. Which, if you're African, you're African. You know what I mean? That's who you are. But majority of us are not. We need you. We Aboriginals. And we need to come back to who we are. We truly do. And that was one of the ways our people were lost in regards to culture. No matter what we become, we will always be the trendsetters. We will always be, because everything we create, everything we do, they copy. Everything. And I go back to, I know I'm skipping, y'all, but I'm going to go back a little bit and go back to the Harlem Renaissance. You guys know the history behind that and what that truly was?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, anywho, that has more to do with the New Deal. And
I've heard of the New Deal.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And of course the Harlem Renaissance too, but I would definitely love to hear
they
this take.
used art, which art, if you go look at the derivatives of art, the definition of art is actually closely related to war. And they use art to reestablish, redirect our culture. So instead of being how you will see originals portrayed and depicted, we took on a new way of looking, the new Negro, as they call it. Do your history. So with that being said, with the New Deal, because Harlem, for an example, they made these places or created these places for white settlers, foreigners. I know y'all scared of that word, but foreigners, to come in and habitat that land, living on land. And back then, majority of the population was Neji, originals, Black folks, right? And it didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen. White folks the foreigners didn't want to live there, so they had to come back and do the dirty work of the white residents. So they created this New Deal, and that had to do with the Harlem Renaissance and how, do your history. I don't want to go all into it. I want to stay on topic. But those are some ways that they continue to change us as a people. You know what I mean? And I know we talk about a lot of, reparations and all this, but one thing for sure, you're not going to get your reparations if you can keep considering yourself Black. I'm just being honest, because Black is a status. It's not a color, it's not a race, it's a status. You know what I mean? 1960s, when we were fighting for civil rights, we was fighting for first-class civil rights, first-class citizenship. That means there's a second class, there's a third class. And even with all that fight, and some things changed and some not changed, how do you know if you're a first-class citizen or not? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Are the things that are happening in your life right now still happening? Have you been elevated? You know what I mean? Or you're still struggling from the same things? I'm pretty sure in all the groups I am in, ICM, the Fulton County Coalition, the ministries, the councils I'm in, we all talk about the same thing. Needing mental health, healthcare, education, all these issues our generations has been fighting for. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing has changed because nothing has changed. You see what I'm saying?
So okay. So a part of making the changes is practical application. So how do we connect the private school to the public school? Because a lot of children who come from who are products of two parent households, they may have been in particular clubs in like middle school and high school, but the child who is being raised in a single parent household, or they don't even have clean socks to wear to school, so they don't care hardly nothing about their heritage as
Just caring about survival.
Yeah. So how can we bridge that gap between the people who know and the people who don't care?
Yes. Okay, and that's where, like I said, these groups and organizations that I'm into and that I'm running myself with, my campaign, Roots of Change, is create co-ops. And this is happening all over the country, California, New York, Atlanta, this is happening. So when you have co-ops, these are individuals or groups that come together and provide those fundings. And I'm going to bring up Tulsa once more, because I think it was 11, 13 months they did this, where their money that they had, and this is how they skyrocketed. Like, whoa, they was wealthy and they had oil. Okay? So they had everything. And it wasn't, they didn't come in and say, oh, I'm going to take off. They bombed them people because they were thriving. Mm-hmm. They had power. They had wealth. They had oil. You know what I mean? They had everything they needed to thrive. And what they did to get to that point, they kept all of their money inside their town, inside those little blocks, you know what I mean, that were allotted, because back then, the white and the black, I guess you want to call it, they were heavily segregated, like, you know what I mean, heavily, especially in Oklahoma.
And money changes things. Mm-hmm. So this is why we, especially now, we talk about financial literacy. And John Hope Bryant, and I mentioned it before, John Hope Bryant has a quote that says, financial literacy is the civil rights issue of this generation. And that goes a long way, and it ties into your points, because when we have more money, then we can address the problems. So at some point, we have to get money savvy. Mm-hmm. Because everybody loves money. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say, whether you're in public school or private school, or whether you was in a 2-parent household or a 1-parent household and didn't know which socks you was gonna wear, regardless, everybody loves money, but it has to be for the right uses to change our situations. Because when a certain demographic starts to get money, it's short-lived. Mm-hmm. And they run right back to the hamster wheel. And then the cycle continues. Mm-hmm. Because they got money, then they lost the money because they didn't know what to do with the money when they had the money. Didn't know how to increase the money, didn't know how to invest the money to where they'll keep reaping returns. And it's a lot to be learned from the wealthy, our own wealthy black people. Instead of browbeating and tearing them down, we should learn from them. Now, there are some who just think that money is the root of all evil, and not necessarily the love of money. But some people are content with having less, but they complain about the little that they have. It's necessary to think outside the box, and some of this seed will fall on dry ground. Some of these nuggets won't take root, and that's okay. But there are those who are just waiting to hear, one, that people feel them, two, that they have an intellectual viewpoint about our history, but three, they also have solutions and plausible means of creating change and being agents of change. as opposed to just watching from the sidelines or just or seeing somebody struggling and just walking past them. Sometimes we do that because everybody don't want help. Everybody can't be helped. But we can check individuals to see how effective the help that we have to offer can be for that person. And so Tanesha, we run it a little long. We're not necessarily long, but before we wrap up this conversation and look forward to future conversations, what are the platforms for your book, plug websites, and let's get some information on that.
Okay, yeah. But before that, I'm gonna say this, and I might be paraphrasing, but it says in the Bible, our people will be killed by a lack of knowledge.
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah. Ooh.
And I say that to say this: we've been on the defense for entirely too long, and this is something I've been proposing in all my groups because it's time for a change. And I'm tired of talking about how we're going to do it. We need to start acting. Now is the time to act. And I say that to say this: with the big beautiful bill, whatever it's called, right? The law.
The very large and ugly MF. Go ahead.
So we know that, how taxes have changed and all that, and it's all to benefit them, right? We know that. But one thing we also know, that we can play that game too.
Yeah. We can get in those circles. We can definitely get in those spaces.
This is where those solutions come in. Because one thing for sure, it's law to play that game, right? Because they made sure of that. So if we play that game and they see us thriving, because that's what we're going to do. It's in our DNA, they're either going to have to accept that because, one, if they try to change it, they change it for themselves too.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So this is how I see us playing the offense. And I have a event coming up. It's called the Harvest Event. It's highlighting Black farmers in and we haven't set a date yet because I'm waiting on a couple of farmers to get back to me. But it's in October. And it's going to highlight Black farmers and, of course, a lot of resources in our community for health, mental health, and all those things that come with it. And it's going to express my big how to flip the bill through my campaign. I have the Flip the Bill campaign through my Roots of Change campaign. And it has all the solutions that I'm going to be pushing for our community to do, to make sure we're not cut out of healthcare, to make sure everything we're doing from saving money and those tips, for an example, putting those money, like I said, those co-ops, those funds, we can use to put back in our community. So when individuals that don't have the health care they need for their children or what have you, we'll have funds for that. For those individuals that are looking to start up a business, because that's how we're going to do it. So everybody being self-sufficient and economically ready through business. And I have my cleaning company, and that's completely how it is set up for you to be your own boss and you to learn how to be a boss, a business player in this world, because that's the game they're playing, and that's how we're going to play. Entrepreneurship is key. And I don't take nothing from you. You are your own boss. I do it through contract work, so we can cut through some little laws and red tapes they have. But you can find my book, which I feel like is a lantern. It's a lantern, a blueprint for our people to wake up and get ready and start doing something, because everyone can do something, whether it's volunteering, printing out flyers, you know what I mean, teaching these classes. If you economic savvy, if you have some type of skill, some type of knowledge, this is your time to be a part, because it's not about what you can get from it. It's about where we all can be at the end of the day. And that's here, beating them drums, having fun on our land, bringing life back to this land. And that's where I want to be. But you can find my book on Amazon. You can find my song, In There the Echoes, on all platforms, all streaming platforms. And just go on my website. Everything you want to know about my Roots of Change campaign, what we do for the community, is on blackmindentertainment.com.
And that's the website. Black. Say it again. BLAKmindentertainment.com. Cool. All right. Tanesha, we thank you for even opening up about everything. And so as we go to wrap up, I am Darius Cash, and this is the Bernard Song Podcast, where pain has a voice and healing finds rhythm.
Yeah, Cash Gang.